take it away.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Upgrading to Demantra 12.2x. My name is Christina Bergman. I'm the Marketing Director with AVATA and will be facilitating today's event. But before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so that you will get the most out of your time with us. So during the webinar, we do kindly request that everyone please remain muted throughout the presentation, as this is a live event and is being recorded. So if you didn't enter your audio code, please remember to put that on mute. After the webinar, a full copy of the presentation will be sent to you and also archived in our SlideShare account. The webinar recording will be uploaded to our YouTube account, and I'll have all of this information included in the email I'll send out to you. A few announcements: we'll be highlighting our offers for the free Demantra upgrade assessment and the free statistical engine tuning assessment towards the end of the presentation. And for anyone who's interested, our next webinar is on September 22nd with SNOP IVP Express as our subject. I would now like to introduce our presenter, the one and only Dwayne Hardacre, Managing Partner at AVATA, and the great and powerful Sanjay Agrawal, our Director of Operations. In case you're wondering, these two people know this stuff better than anyone else, so I know I leave you in great hands today. Dwayne, what's on the agenda?
Thank you, Christina. No expectations. So we're going to go through a pretty aggressive agenda today, guys. So hold on tight. There's a lot of material to cover. Of course, some of the stuff we will get into more detail than others, and you can always reach out to any of us if you want to drill deeper into any other aspects that you want more information on. We're going to cover the release genealogy of Demantra, going back to 7.3. We're going to go over some of the key enhancements over the last several years. And then we want to kind of demystify the notion of what's involved in a Demantra upgrade, how might you go about it, and what is AVATA's specific approach. And then we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A. So I'll be brief. I would be surprised if most of you on the phone aren't aware of AVATA, but we are a specialized consulting firm with 6 core segments. We are the #1 provider of Oracle's value chain planning solutions in the cloud. We have just launched our AVATA Express solutions, and these are industry-specific pre-built solutions for industrial manufacturing, consumer goods, trade management, that come with, a complete built-in leading practice process flows, as well as pre-configured software for that solution for your industry. The other key one is managed services. This technically rolls up under our AVATA Business Cloud, but what we've seen this growing the last couple of years is more and more customers outsourcing the application support of the VCP solutions. And we're also starting to see a little bit more of a trend where they're maybe providing data over to us to do some amount of data maintenance, cleansing, and or analytics on their behalf. So some interesting trends happening. We are a recognized leader in the industry, largely because we are supply chain practitioners. We were formed out of the business and operations side of supply chain. And we were one of the first companies ever to be specialized in Demantra, so this is definitely a sweet spot for us. We do have a global presence with offices throughout the world, U.S., India, Europe, and Asia. Our history is, specifically in Demantra, is very key for this webinar. Our lineage goes back further than any company in the world as far as working with Demantra and understanding Demantra. And because of that, over the years, we've been first to market with many aspects of Demantra. Again, our AVATA Business Cloud is a great way of getting the value chain planning solutions in a pure SaaS model. So the customer essentially pays a monthly subscription fee, and we provide everything from software license, hardware and infrastructure, support, the managed service, the whole 9 yards. And there's a lot of other additional benefits in this. All right, let's get down to the important stuff. So it would be impossible to walk through every piece of functionality over the years. And because we are a tight strategic partner with Oracle, I actually forgot to mention, we're actually part of their co-dev program where we have people working with Oracle on site on the next generation Fusion value chain or supply chain management products. So we keep a very close track of all these different releases and what the functionality does, but more important, how it applies to different industries. And you'll hear me talk to that throughout the webinar. So we're going to go back to 2007. We're going to walk you through key features and enhancements through 7315 and to today's current 12241. And we got a little surprise for you. We're going to give you a little sneak peek at what's coming out in the next release of Demantra, 1225, 12251. You heard it here first. Some key highlights from 7.3 to 7.314. Configure to order was a key piece of functionality, particularly in the industries of high tech. This was basically allowed you to put a planning bill of materials into Demantra and create a parent-child relationship and blow dependent demand from the parent to the child based on a planning percentage or attach rate, as some industries call it. They have improved this functionality over the years. It's incredibly powerful, and what one might think is it impacts performance, but it really doesn't, especially with some of the improvements they've made over the years on the performance specifically around this. Another piece of functionality, actually an entirely new module introduced that was very much welcomed into the market, was the spares and service parts forecasting. So real quick, Oracle has introduced a separate service parts planning module called SPP. That is not what I'm talking about here. That module does have some elements of demand forecasting, but it's not as sophisticated, flexible, and as what this does in Demantra. So we constantly run into that confusion with clients. So what this does is allows you to do all the aspects of forecasting for the aftermarket industry, where the key thing is it actually integrates into your install base and allows you to not only forecast on usage history, but also failure rate analysis. So you can, really start to predict, hey, this is how often, on average, this is failing, and this part is failing in the field. Let's incorporate that into the statistical engine forecast piece. And of course, there's lots of analysis and seeded worksheets and series around this as well. Some other noteworthy key enhancements that, to be honest, when we go into clients that actually oftentimes already have Demantra and we're brought in for either to do enhancements or to do an upgrade or another phase of the project, we often find out that a lot of these things that have been released for several years, people are not aware of. So forecast accuracy metrics. I'm amazed at how often we'll go into clients, and there's still, even existing Demantra clients that are still using offline Excel spreadsheets. And part of that might have been because of some of the limitations prior to this enhancement. But with this, they've enhanced the formula for the forecast accuracy. It's much more flexible, and you can calculate it. It's not tied to the forecast generation level. So it actually is a lot more usable to use seeded forecast accuracy method within Demantra. Subset forecasting. This is for those out there with a long statistical engine run. So before this enhancement, the engine executed the set of data. With this enhancement, you can segment the data that the engine is calculating on and partition it. And so by doing that, you break the engine up, and you can run these things in parallel. You can speed up the engine performance in general. Rolling profile groups. This is a nice one because for those of you who aren't doing this, it certainly is a best practice recommendation. You should be archiving key aspects of your Demantra solution and creating that plan of record. What this enhancement does is allow you to logically group series in Demantra and archive them specific to that grouping. So you don't have to archive everything at once. So a perfect example, you can archive specifically the group of series related to your consensus forecast process. Archive it, create that final plan of record, and then go and archive the relative series for a waterfall analysis. You don't have to do everything all at once. Enhancements. Workflow. You can call one workflow from another. There's been several database, worksheet, and series performance improvements between 7.3 and 7.3.1.4. And that's a common theme that you're going to hear throughout this webinar. The integration to Hyperion to support your S&OP process and to send a final forecast to Hyperion and to send a budget or annual operating plan or revenue numbers from Hyperion to Demantra and to measure that gap. Like I said, they did the integration to the MRO as well as the enterprise asset management for project manufacturing type environments. And they introduced the engine on Linux, which was a highly requested enhancement. Prior to that, it had to run on Windows. Moving on to 7.3.1.5 to 12.2.3. In 7.3.1.5, in-memory consumption-driven planning was introduced. Again, entirely new module targeted at the consumer goods retail industries. And what this allowed you to do, essentially, it supported the sell-in, sell-through, and management of a forecast at a daily store level and all the aspects around that. It also introduced an improved safety stock and inventory targeting, as well as a replenishment orders. So this is an important piece, though. It actually does have a light marquee type capability to do single level replenishment calculations, replenishment into your distribution or replenishment to the store. But it's not an MRP engine, and we battle with this with customers all the time. Demantra is so powerful and flexible that you could take this and get a little bit unwieldy with it. So that's one caution, is it's great capabilities and powerful, this replenishment planning, but it's not a supply planning solution. And in introducing the in-memory consumption-driven planning, they actually had to do a lot of things to improve the scalability for the larger data volumes, as you can imagine, in dealing with a store daily level forecasting solution. And the last thing that was introduced that, again, has been a big request over the years was this launch management for new product introductions and the life. With that, I'm going to actually let Sanjay talk a little bit about this. Sanjay?
Yes, thanks, Wayne. So launch management is really a key enhancement over the previous NPI. I can imagine lots of you have used the previous member management chaining and other functionalities. But really, this is a key enhancement over that. You can actually introduce new items. You can link to different sites or customers and perform the chaining process. Something to be aware that this chaining process is ongoing, meaning it will copy the historical data, your historical shipment data or your booking data, and it will copy it in a persistent way until it reaches the launch date. Pretty powerful feature. You can track all your requests. You can see all the requests submitted that has been submitted previously. And the best part of it is you can all do all of this directly from the worksheet. The end users can view and review the data, the MPI request submitted, all on the worksheet. Pretty powerful feature.
That's a key point, Sanjay, that you no longer have to access, you don't have to go into chaining or member management. You can do this all with the new levels and worksheets, which make it much more usable, and it's much more flexible in the way that you can release new parts at a store. You can release new products to a store or item store combination. You can introduce a new store altogether. So things like that. And also, you can also not only copy over shipment and historical data from your source, you can actually also bring over promotion history. You know, those of you in the PTP world. The other thing that many of you probably are aware of, the IM CDP does come with Exadata. You can't buy it standalone without Exadata. A little birdie told me that in the near future here, Oracle is going to break up that requirement and allow customers to actually buy the in-memory consumption-driven planning Demantra module without forcing them to buy the Exadata hardware. That's not to say you can cheap out and skinny down the hardware. You can't. You still need solid hardware, but Oracle is going to remove that dependency. But we have seen, and it is true, that on the Exadata, the performance is pretty ridiculously fast. Calendar month. This was another enhancement that has been, largely pushed for over the years, and it required an extensive customization prior to the introduction of this. And because of some of those complexities, Sanjay has more experience with this than anyone I know. So Sanjay, you want to talk through the calendar month?
Yeah. So absolutely. So basically, in prior versions of Demantra, what we had to do is try to do this level of customization or try to get Demantra to the daily bucket. So however, in this version and onwards, we can implement both weekly as well as calendar months in the same instance. Recently, what we did was we had to do a platform update for enterprise clients who wanted to have calendar months in their Demantra instance. They were currently weekly model, but then what used to happen was the ops team used to review the data or view the forecast in weekly buckets. However, the sales and the finance team, they want to see the data in monthly buckets. So basically, what typically happens is if you have two different teams looking at the data in different buckets, calendar month and weekly. So this functionality comes in great for those clients. It's a great value for both the business teams overall. Something to be aware of, when you try to implement calendar month, essentially the update process will do a 9 split of weeks spanning multiple months. Also, you should expect to get an overall increase in the number of volume by 20%. The sales data table, which we all know is the largest table in the Demantra system, we can expect that the volume will increase by 20%. But this is a pretty powerful feature for different kinds of businesses.
You broke up a little bit there. I'm going to just recap real quick. This supports finance to look at a fiscal month, while operations can look at a true calendar month. And then when you pass Demantra data down from Demantra to your supply planning system, it makes that integration and the way it's breaking up much more user-friendly and actually seeded to support your downstream supply planning. From the Excel integration aspect, this has been another highly requested customization or improvement over the year, which required customizations previously. And essentially, Demantra has always allowed you to export a worksheet out of Demantra into Excel. What this does is it enhances that export capability, but more importantly, it allows you to export the data out into Excel, take it on an airplane, wherever you want, enter changes in the Excel, and then just upload that back up into Demantra, and it'll take all your changes. And it does the validation and security, as well as keeps track of the audit trail of when you updated it with those changes. So this was a huge enhancement that had been requested, by the customers for a lot of years. Sanjay, did I miss anything there?
No, I think you covered it, Dwayne. Thanks.
Yep. Well, the one thing I want to point out is we've actually used this functionality to save our customers some time and money around integration. So, for example, you have a third-party legacy system that's holding some financial information that you want to integrate once a month or once a quarter into Demantra. Previously, you had to build an integration interface and go through all that to build an integration that happened, not too frequently. With this functionality, we've actually just created templates for the clients and said, here, just fill out the template, and we upload it, import it into Demantra, and that's the integration. So very, very user-friendly in that aspect.
Just to add a little more, we have used this for conversion process as well. So typically at the time of go live, you've got to convert your current forecast. The users would like to get the current forecast uploaded in the system. So rather than building a full interface for the conversion process, what we have done is we have created templates, and they can upload directly into Demantra using this feature.
The other thing that Oracle has really worked at over the years is the user productivity improvements for Demantra, the look and feel. So for those of you who are on the later versions, the icons do change. As you'll notice, the running man is gone. As odd and as weird as that icon is, we all became very attached to our running man, but he is gone in the later versions. One of the other enhancements around this that I thought was really key was, if you remember early days of Demantra, the dates would only be on the horizontal axis, and your series had to be in columns, which a lot of people didn't understand why that was the case. It's not traditionally a common way of viewing it. Well, now you can actually switch that, as you see here, where the dates are across the top, the series are horizontal, and you can simply, by dragging and dropping in the worksheet the time and series up in this corner, you literally can, like a pivot table, switch all the data and switch the whole order of the columns to series. So really user-friendly, powerful piece of enhancement. Some other noteworthy ones, custom data formats. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but again, when you're in the system every day, day in and day out, it's little things like this that did make a difference. A new module is introduced around security management. This was pretty key. Previously, if you wanted to do any user management or system administration, it all had the same amount of access to the business modeler, which was very dangerous because you didn't sometimes want certain people in there that could access and change really key pieces of Demantra and configuration aspects. So they've now kind of segmented where you have a user administrator and an application administrator that kind of draws a firewall with what they have access to. And of course, there's password security enhancements where passwords time out. They do a forced reset after so long. Multi-language support, this is another big one. You can now, in a single global instance of Demantra, support multiple languages. And over the years, Oracle has added more and more languages. I believe they're up to 15 languages now, but don't quote me on that. So you could have a global instance where your U.S. users are looking at it in English. In China, the users are looking at it in simplified Mandarin. And the last one is you can launch a URL from a worksheet. So you can embed a URL into a series and then put that series in a worksheet. Sanjay, you have a good example of this.
Yes. So one of the great examples for launching URL is when we were implementing PTP at a retail client. Essentially, we were importing, at Go Live, we were importing promotion from a legacy system. So one of the key requirements was sitting in Demantra on a worksheet, how can I validate the promotions that were imported from legacy system? So essentially what we did was we created a URL for the promotion, and once the user clicks on the URL, it directly takes them to the legacy system, and they can validate all their data. They can validate the promotion quantity, dates, and things like that. Pretty powerful feature from a validation standpoint.
Right. Some other noteworthy pieces related to S&OP. So as you wanted to do more revenue, compare revenue, total cost, margin analysis in your S&OP process, what this enhancement did is it broke down the costs for transportation, separate from storage, and then purchasing and manufacturing. So you could actually drill into and analyze the information at a more granular level during your S&OP process. It also provided seeded integration to Snow. We haven't talked a lot about trade, promotion planning, trade promotion optimization, and deduction settlement management because we made the assumption that the majority of you were on demand management or S&OP. But that being said, there were a tremendous number of enhancements across the board. Particularly up to this point, there were some really good ones around promotion optimization and the calendar. We will talk a little bit more about this in later releases. From a technical and integration, in this release, in these series of releases, they introduced the integration of APCC to Demantra and built out that integration, provide more flexibility of producing a custom product series into APCC. For those of you who aren't aware of what APCC is, it is a reporting, analytics, and dashboard, and actually much more than that, solution that sits on top of Demantra and ASCP. It also provided the ability in 12.2.2 to push custom series from the S&OP module into APCC. They've taken a lot of this and expanded it in 12.2.4. They've allowed you to have asynchronous workflows. What does that mean? It means that you didn't need one workflow to complete before the next one to start. They became kind of decoupled and independent. For example, you wanted a workflow that said, go get these exceptions, and if it's out of this tolerance, identify the associated planner and just send them the exceptions. You don't need anything further than that. It doesn't need a closed loop. It doesn't need the planner to actually confirm something or execute something to move on to a next step. It's just kind of an isolated workflow. As I said, performance has continued to be a thing that Oracle has spent a lot of time working on. In these series of releases, there's been a lot of key database performance around adding in Demantra, as well as the database, as well as performance hints and reorganizing the tables and columns. And one of the key aspects here was the introduction of kind of automated health checks and maintenance procedures where your DBA can proactively manage what's happening in Demantra, especially around, like Sanjay said earlier, those core sales data and MDP matrix tables that are the crux of Demantra and tend to grow very large and will cause performance problems if not managed. EP load main enhancements were done to allow you to bring in, execute batch jobs quicker and import data faster for your integrations. And there were purport enhancements where previously purport was based singularly on historical usage. Now you have the flexibility to have purport based off of several different options. And it can actually be a user-defined series. So some good stuff there. That brings us up to today. So if you were to upgrade to 12.241, you would get everything that I just talked about, plus some of these other key pieces. In-memory consumption-driven planning. No, this is not deja vu. What Oracle's done here is this module was introduced in 7.315, but you couldn't get it in 12.2.1, 12.2.2. They frontward ported the entire solution to 12.2.4. So, and with that, they've actually taken some of the functionality that was just contained within IMCDP, and they've migrated out to demand management and promotion planning, and that is specifically the launch management functionality. On the business logic engine, and that's the engine that really does a lot of the calculations for the safety stock calculations, inventory targets, as well as the replenishment orders. So as you can imagine, a lot of that stuff has to happen potentially real time and called by the user. So a lot of good enhancements around that. Now they did enhance the sell-in and sell-through process and how the sell-through is converted into your sell-in forecast. And there were dramatic performance improvements made, particularly by partitioning the data. So they created a general level to support the daily bucketing without impacting performance for your demand management processes that are looking at things at a weekly or monthly level. So they essentially did this by partitioning the data. And they introduced the 64-bit engine for both Unix and Linux. User access control. Again, this seems like a minor enhancement, but again, it's these things that really help the little things that really help the usability over time. So, as you know, you can have problems if Demantra is running while you're still in the system, or you need to take Demantra down to execute a process. What this is, or to do just maintenance. What this allows you to do is send a message out, have scheduled times to the entire group of users or specific users, and notify them of downtimes that are coming. In addition to that, you can actually force users off the system, but without it actually in the background completes their transaction and saves it, so there is no loss of data or corruption. This combined with the security module that was introduced in previous releases goes a long way for those companies and industries specifically that have Sarbanes-Oxley requirements. So now I do want to take one slide to talk about some of the performance or some of the improvements made specifically to promotion planning. Sanjay, you want to walk through this?
Yes. Yes. So another key feature on the PTP module. So in this version, essentially you can see your promotions in the form of a calendar. You can see all the promotions that have been loaded in the time horizon. You can do a drag and drop to change the promotions. You can copy the promotions. You can also change the start date and the end date, and that's very flexible actually. What you can do is you can simply double click on it and you can change the date and things like that. So it's a pretty incredibly powerful feature where you can do a drag and drop. What you can also do is on the left side, you can see certain series. So you can do the edit directly in the series, or you can directly double click on the promotions calendar and you can make the changes. So basically the interactions of the promotions have become very easy for the users.
Thanks, Sanjay. A couple other, sorry about that, Sanjay.
Go ahead, Ray.
A couple other noteworthy things is previously there was no, PTP had no capability of doing dynamic open link or Demantra anywhere. So those functionalities are now available for PTP. And it did streamline the simulation process. And then a couple key enhancements in this version around shipment and consumption planning, or for point of sale data. Previously you could do this, but it required some fancy footwork around engine profiles, and it still had limitations. Here it really allows the engine to address the dual data streams with the correlating date ranges. So there's some good stuff there. And if you do want to know, again, we didn't focus on a lot of this on the promotion planning. If you do want, this is a key segment of our business. It's also one of our fastest growing areas. If you want to know more, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll connect you with one of our experts, and can walk you through any aspect of this in much further detail. Also in 12.241, they've introduced the integration of PTP to APCC. Logical step, right? Taking Demantra data and pushing it into the dashboard solution. So some really nice things there from an end user perspective. From a technical and integration perspective, like I said earlier, they've added 2 additional custom hierarchies that you can take from Demantra to APCC, the org dimension and customer account level. They've also certified it on 12C in-memory database. This also will have good, significant performance improvements for the in-memory consumption-driven planning as well. So quickly, we're going to go through our AVATA upgrade methodology. Sanjay?
Yes. So far, what we have heard about is a lot of features around Demantra on the different versions. We talked about Demantra Genealogy, and we have talked about different functionalities. However, what we really are getting into this slide is how really an upgrade is done. So an upgrade is done using a BAL tool, Business Application Language Tool. What it really does is it compares your current schema, and it compares your new schema. It compares all the different levels. It compares the different series, worksheets, procedures, etc. Different things it compares between your golden schema and your new schema. And then what it does is, depending on the mode that you chose, whether it's automatic upgrade or a manual upgrade, it will perform the differences between the 2 schemas. And if you have chosen automatic upgrade, then what it does is it upgrades your levels, your series, worksheets into the new schema. For most environments, automatic upgrade will work fine, and we do have a caution here. If you are choosing a manual upgrade, then it should be done under skill supervision. A point to note is we at AVATA, we were the first company ever to use the BAL tool for an upgrade. Way back in past years, we worked closely with Oracle development in resolving the challenges and the different process for the BAL upgrade. Now, during the BAL upgrade process, what happens is, next slide, Link. During the BAL upgrade process, one of the key questions is asked is whether you want to do a platform upgrade or whether you want to do a platform plus application upgrade. For most applications, for the most functionality, platform upgrade would be fine. You would get most of the functionality. And also those customers who have heavy customization, who have altered their Demantra schema a lot, platform upgrade would be fine. But for those customers who are not highly customized, for them the platform and application upgrade would be the best option. One of the scenarios where you will typically want to do a platform application upgrade is if you want to bring in some heavy functionality. Say, for example, currently you are on a Demantra DM and you want to bring in SPF functionality, service path forecasting. If you want to do that, then you would have to do platform plus application upgrade. Another example is, suppose you're a DM customer and you want to implement in-memory consumption planning, then you will have to do a platform plus application upgrade. What we have done is we have attached a Oracle support note in here for you to review it further if you want to have more details on the upgrade options.
Thank you, Sanjay. How AVATA goes about an upgrade is we have 3 key phases. We keep it simple. We say what we do what we say. We do an assessment phase, and this is what we are offering for those on this webinar. We take you through what we call our complexity matrix. We want to understand your current process and challenges around your environment so we can map that to what makes sense for you for the upgrade. How to do it kind of outlines how we would do the upgrade and what aspects of Demantra we want to configure, what enhancements we want to configure, because the truth is it would be wrong of us or any consulting firm to configure every enhancement when the reality is for several customers, many customers, all customers, that depending on your industry and your challenges, you may only need a certain set of enhancements. So configure those as opposed to spending time and money on everything that's really irrelevant to you. And then we educate and align you in our assessment. So we lay out kind of the roadmap and the impact. So if you do have a certain challenge and you want to implement some key enhancements, they may impact your current process, right? And again, that's a big differentiator with us is, we come at things from a very process and metrics perspective. From there, we execute the upgrade. As Sanjay just walked you through, our experience with the BAL tool. And then we also have, over the years, developed a couple solutions underneath our AVATA Express program, the Data Validation Accelerator and Data Transformation and Synchronization. Boy, that's a mouthful. That basically allows us to, in an automated way, compare data between your current environment and the upgraded environment. And in some cases, for example, like calendar months, you may want to do some transformation and aggregating of the data. And in that case, we can do that in an automated fashion as well as make sure that it ties out and compares. Then we do the enhancement configurations. From there, you go into the regression test and training. Now, depending on the process impacts, the level of enhancements that you're introducing will determine on the level of effort on the training. And we, again, as part of our Express program, we have a lot of this training already built and canned, and then we move it into production. The data complexity matrix is a formulaic way for us to quantitatively look at your current Demantra installation and come up with a score that tells us the level of complexity. That way we can from there determine what the level of effort is required, and it also gives us a risk factor. And doing that and using that, we do that during our Demantra assessment. And as stated throughout this, for those of you that are on this webinar, you do have access to take advantage of our free Demantra assessment. The other thing I want to highlight, and this always amazes me, is the number of Demantra installs out there that have not gone through an engine tuning exercise. For those of you that are in industries where you have good, stable demand without high variability, intermittency, and all those things, great. If it works for your run rate business, beautiful. But I would think that for a lot of us, that's not the case. So what we've put together is a package where we can come in and assess your engine, and it's what you could expect from an improvements perspective. Now, what does this talk mean in dollars and cents? Well, industry studies out there, several of them, can say a 1% improvement in your forecast accuracy or decrease in your forecast error can improve your safety stock inventory by 0.5%. Now, think about that. We're seeing on average an 8 to 16% forecast error reduction or forecast accuracy improvement. Dollarizing that over the inventory savings over time is significant. At one client, we paid for an entire year's worth of supply chain initiatives and projects purely on the forecast improvement and impact on inventory. So we will go through some questions and answers. So Christina, I think this is back to you.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who took advantage of pre-submitting questions during the registration process, and we did receive a lot of questions, but we're going to go through a few of them now and answer them for you. I think we've got 4. So the first one is, how can we use APCC with Demantra and ASCP?
That one. Well, the first thing you got to do is buy it. For those of you who already own it and aren't using it, shame on you. This is personally one of my favorite modules released over the years. But essentially, it comes with a lot of standard integration, or with standard integration. Sits on top of Demantra, and with the improvements on flexibility, where you can have, defined series, custom series, defined levels, and push those into APCC and create measures or, custom data elements in APCC, that flexibility has been greatly improved over the years. So it really is a powerful solution as far as, reporting, analytics, and creating that kind of end-to-end virtual supply chain.
All right, second question is, can we upgrade the Demantra alone without upgrading the EBS?
I can take this one, Christina. So basically, the answer depends on how you have built your, how you have set up your Demantra. So in a lot of cases, what we are seeing is there are standard collections. So if there is a standard collections that is involved between the source and the destination, which is VCP, then what happens is you need to maintain that link. However, if you have legacy collections, the impact is lesser, and if you have totally custom integration between source instance and destination instance, then it really does not have an impact. So you can independently upgrade Demantra as well as VCP in that case.
Okay.
So I want to recap that, Sanjay, to make sure that it was understood. Previously, in a decentralized environment where VCP was on its own instance, separate from your ERP, you could not have any reliance on the version. So you could have an ERP 11.5.10 with VCP or Demantra 7.3.1.5 or 7.3.1.2. Once now at this release, and actually it came out in several releases prior to this, that has gone away, where the environments have to be kept in sync. Well, for those of you who really understand what that means, you're falling out of your chair, because it means that if you want to put in upgrade your Demantra to 12.2.4, well, you got to upgrade your entire ERP from whatever version it is to 12.2.4, and that's when people hear that handcuffs them, and they immediately say, well, that's not going to happen. The reality is we have done the upgrades on where these versions didn't match. So we do know where the changes need to be. We have worked with Oracle, and we've been endorsed to do this, to kind of break this linkage. And that doesn't mean you're unsupported. The 4 walls of the applications are still supported. So you know, a lot of people will, again, immediately rule out upgrading because you got to keep the Demantra environment and the ERP environment in sync. And I guess my point is the risk is minimal, you know, very little at all. So I would not let that be a deterrent for you, especially if you evaluate the business value of the upgrade. Go ahead, Christina.
Okay, thanks, Dwayne. Does the collaborator workbench still rely on the old unsecured Java to operate?
So over the past few versions, what we have seen is as the Demantra versions are improving, the support with the Java is also improving. Earlier on, when we implemented Demantra, we had to find a good, stable versions of Java. So, for example, 7.3.1 used to work on Java version X, X.X. However, what we are seeing is, as we are seeing the latest versions of Demantra, they are more and more suitable to work on the newer versions of Java. So yeah, that has improved a lot from a Java perspective.
Okay. I think that due to time, we'll just do one last question. How long does it take to do a Demantra upgrade?
Important question of them all. So again, based on what comes out of the assessment, we'll determine that exact number. But what we've seen on average is and this goes to the demystifying. Our level of effort on an upgrade on average is 1 to 3 weeks. Obviously, there could be nuances or specific things at a customer that may extend that, but on average, that's what we're seeing. So it's not, again, it's not something that is, oh, it's a 6-month upgrade process. Not at all.
Okay, great. So we have provided a lot of information, but if you're looking for more ways to kind of poke around and get to know us better, remember the full presentation will be emailed to you within 24 hours, along with our corporate brochure and a link to the recording. You're going to see a list here of all of our upcoming webinars. And although our website is currently under construction, our new and improved site should be live in September. You can reach out to us if you have any interest in the free assessments, and of course we can always provide a custom demonstration for your organization. If you have any questions regarding the presentation, the free assessments, or any other ways that we can assist you, please don't hesitate to contact us, and that includes any feedback regarding this presentation. So on behalf of AVATA, thank you for joining us today. We hope that the information we provided regarding Demantra's newest release has been worthwhile, and enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are. Thanks, Dwayne and Sanjay also.
Thank you.
Thank you.